Well, we are so excited to be gathered today and to have the opportunity to hear from 10 of the 11 candidates for city council member. It's a 4-year term. There's 2 seats open, and election day is August 10th. Ballots are mail-in ballots, so they need to be postmarked the 9th or dropped off, I think, by the fairgrounds. They're having at the county clerk, or that they are going to have a drop box. So we wanted to give our candidates a chance to all come here and speak to us and let us know what they're all about. We're going to be going in the order that they are listed on the city website, and I believe it's the same order that they're listed on the ballot. But we do have one. Steve Carlson was going to be here, but he couldn't make it because he is ill and he did not want to spread the germs in this time of pandemic. And so we really appreciate him and his willingness to be here, but totally understand that he couldn't make it. So we are going to start with Cameron PORCARO. Cameron PORCARO has lived in Spanish Fork since 1995. He graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Film and Media Arts from the University of Utah in 2016. He currently works as an IT administrator at Western Botanicals in Spanish Fork. Cameron believes that expanding access to parks, trails, and green spaces is imperative in keeping our city an attractive place to live for decades to come. I'll turn the time over to Cameron.
Good afternoon. Thank you to the Spanish Fork Rotary Club for hosting this event. Thank you to Spanish Fork Macy's for letting us borrow this meeting room today. My name is Cameron PORCARO. Obviously, I was already introduced a little bit. So I'll tell you about what I believe the future of Spanish Fork will be. I believe in keeping Spanish Fork a safe and attractive place for current and future citizens. Spanish Fork is projected to gain 10,000 citizens in this decade and 10,000 more in the decade after that. Utah County is expected to add an additional 140,000 people and 180,000 residents in that same time frame. Decisions the city makes now will be felt for decades, if not a century or more. I believe the city today is well run and has adapted quite well to our recent growth. Our city council members, mayor, city manager, and other city employees have done their best at guiding our city during this stage of its evolution. However, I believe that we can do more to conserve the spirit of the city for years to come. One of the ways that we can preserve our small town feel despite our anticipated growth is to focus on recreation, parks, trails, and other green spaces. Anyone who has biked through the river bottoms, fished at the reservoir, walked one of our many trails, or spent an afternoon in the tree-filled city park can attest that they experience our small town feel the strongest at these locations. The small town feel comes not only from the people we know and meet, but from the environment that we are in when we do encounter friends and strangers alike. The presence of nature itself plays a large role in how we perceive our city. As time marches onward, land becomes more scarce and expensive. Smaller homes and medium to high density housing will become more common. Enhancing existing parks, building trails, and installing neighborhood-focused parks will give our children, grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren places to experience nature outside their homes. This is my vision of Spanish Fork. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Cameron. All right, next we have BRET Bills. BRET Bills is a 20-year resident of Spanish Fork. He's married to Mindy Van Osdell Bills and the proud father of 5 daughters. He has a degree in information systems and currently works as a director of engineering for Domo Inc. I think I said that right. A Utah County company that is committed to helping their customers make sense out of their own data. Brett currently serves on the Spanish Fork High School Community Council and is a vocal supporter of all things Spanish Fork. You can read more about who he is and his vision for Spanish Fork at brettbills.com.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for having us here today, give us an opportunity to talk about our vision for Spanish Fork. It's been a crazy couple months. We continue to get asked, why are you running? I've had to boil that down to one simple answer. I'm running for city council because I want to be involved in the decisions and the discussions that affect the lives of all of us. Spanish Fork is our home. It's where we've chosen to live. And the city council has a lot of say and power over what happens to our city, our services, our way of life. I used to work for a guy who would say there are no happy accidents. Greatness requires a plan, a process, and refinement. I spent half my career helping people plan projects to solve a problem, and then showing up halfway through the project while they're presenting this great, wonderful thing they built they're very proud of, and I point at all the things that are wrong with it. And that's where I fit in the process where I work is somebody showing off what they built, and I say, hey, wait, you were trying to solve this problem, and you've come and you've built this, and you've missed the mark a little bit here and a little bit here. And if we do this and this and this a little differently, we can solve your problem. For people who are a little bit thin-skinned, that scares them. It's offensive. It makes them feel uncomfortable. But for those that understand that greatness requires a process, plan, and refinement, they appreciate it. It's a huge part of any process where you're going to build something that's worth having. And I believe that our predecessors here that have been running Spanish Fork understand this. Greatness doesn't just happen. And we have had a great plan that has built Spanish Fork. Again, we wouldn't choose to live here. We wouldn't want to be a part of it if it wasn't great. There are so many great things that are happening here. When I sat down in June and wrote down what is it that I think needs to happen and what are going to be the topics for Spanish Fork over the next few years, growth was top of the list, infrastructure concerns, public safety, and then recreation. We're going to have some decisions to make there. Growth can be scary. And we need a solid plan. We have a master plan that's been out for 10 years. I don't think that it's been revised in the last 10 years. I was surprised as I got a lot of questions from citizens that was number one. There's a lot of concern about growth. There's a lot of concern about how do we build neighborhoods that speak to who we are and that speak to where we want to live, that also give our kids a place to live and are safe. Those new neighborhoods need to be built in conjunction with our public safety group. The infrastructure, we've inherited great infrastructure and a great plan. I spoke with a previous council member who said that we have enough water and enough shares for our population to hit 80,000 before we should start to see trouble. I think that's impressive, and I think that's something to build on. One of the problems with being a great place, I think Spanish Fork was top 1 or 2 safest cities in the country this year. One of the problems with that is we got to keep it going. You can't just sit back and say, we did a good job. That's not how life works. We need to stay ahead of it. We need to stay ahead of the actual problems that are coming to us, or the problems will outgrow us. So greatness takes continued involvement, continued movement, and I want to be part of that plan. I want to be part of the group that says, what's the next thing that's going to get us? What's the next thing that's going to get us, and how do we stay ahead of it? Again, Spanish Fork, if I thought it wasn't a great place to be, I would move. We could all do that. But it's where I want to be. It's where I want my kids to be. And I want to see the city continue to grow in ways that make that possible for them. We're only one project, one decision, or one missed future problem away from losing all the ground that we have gained. Everything that our predecessors have fought for could be lost with one bad project. And I think that needs to be clear and understood as the city council weighs decisions, that these decisions affect the lives of citizens, not just today, but into the future. Thank you.
Next, we've got Scott NEILSON. Scott NEILSON teaches American National Government. Oh, sorry. Oh, he's not here. Never mind. I guess I could read. I'll read, if those who aren't attending, everyone sent me a bio, so I'll just read what he sent so we know a little bit about who he is, even though we don't have the opportunity to meet him today. So he teaches American National Government and U.S. History at Maple Mountain High School. From 2017 to 2021, Scott represented District 13 on the Utah State Board of Education. He is a combat veteran and currently an intelligence officer in the Utah National Guard. He and his wife, Camille, are the parents of 4 children. Okay, so next we've got Kevin OYLER. Kevin OYLER is here. He is here. Okay, so Kevin says Kevin OYLER inherited from his parents his love for Spanish Fork and his vigilance in searching for ways of making it an even better place for all of us to live and work. He has served in many capacities, including Scoutmaster, Coach, Fellows Host, and is currently serving as chair of the Planning Commission. He strongly believes that as issues change, core values and character should not. Spanish Fork is more to Kevin than home. It is part of who he is about maintaining traditions and dedication to our small town community even as we grow. Kevin.
Thank you to the Rotary Club and Macy's for hosting us today. I worked at Macy's all through high school, so anytime I walk in this building, it brings back a lot of great memories. July is my favorite month of the year. 4th of July, 24th of July celebrations are my favorites. And a few years ago, my wife created a display that she puts out on our porch each summer. The display reads, "Home of the free because of the brave." And in the bottom left corner is a photo of my grandpa, Richard Banks, during his time of service in Germany during World War II. And opposite of him is a photo of my wife's grandpa, Alden Olson, during his time of service in the Pacific during World War II. Angela and I have a deep respect and appreciation for the greatest generation, and they taught us what it really means to love our community and serve. Angela and I are currently raising our 4 kids here in Spanish Fork, and that's part of the reason why I'm running for City Council. I want to make sure that growing up in Spanish Fork is as great for them as it was for me. I grew up in a home where city projects and issues were talked about on a regular basis. My dad was city manager of Spanish Fork, and I remember as a kid regularly asking my dad how things worked in the city. I remember one field trip that he took me on down to the city sewer plant to see how it functioned and worked. And as a kid, those are sights and smells you never forget. Another reason I'm running for City Council is because I genuinely love being involved and serving. I've had the opportunity to serve as coach in youth sports. I've been Scoutmaster, and I currently serve as chair of the Planning Commission. As I've talked to people during this election cycle, growth is far and away the number one issue that they're concerned with. Our small town is not so small anymore, and it continues to grow. I've had the privilege of being elected as chair and serving on the Planning Commission for the past 4 years. I know the city's general plan, and I'm familiar with our zoning districts. I know our land use ordinances and our municipal code. So if elected as City Council, I'll be able to hit the ground running when it comes to the issues of growth. One of the more important responsibilities we have as City Council members is approving and reviewing the city's annual budget. This next year, we're looking at about $170 million that needs to be reviewed, or has been reviewed, that we're going to be using. I understand the importance of prioritizing and reviewing numbers. I work for a company that this past year brought in almost $3 billion in revenue. And part of my responsibility as a data analyst is to review, audit, and make sure that those numbers, that data, is analyzed in a way that our company, the company I work for, can make correct and good business decisions. And I'm ready to take these skills and apply them and use them with Spanish Fork City. Again, my name's Kevin OYLER. I'm proud to call Spanish Fork my home. I'm running for City Council, and I would love to earn your support and your vote. Thank you.
Well, this is great. Everyone's just right on time. You've got your timing down. Thank you. That makes it easy. We'll have enough time for everyone. Next, we've got Jesse Cardon. He's here. Okay. Jesse Cardon has been and continues to be committed to getting involved in the community to help keep the family and community feel in Spanish Fork that he and his wife fell in love with. He manages the Griffles Center downtown and has worked hard to build synergy in our business community, provided extraordinary support during COVID, and currently serves as the Chamber's chair. He also currently serves on the Planning Commission and understands the complexity of the issues the city faces, as he has attended most city meetings for many years. From day one, his commitment has been to listen, understand, and work hard to make a difference for us. Jesse.
First, again, thank you to the Rotary, Macy's, and Spanish Fork 17 for being here to record it. It's great to be able to talk as we're in this election season to a broad audience and to make sure that people know the candidates that are running for City Council. Like was said, I'm Jesse CARDON. My wife and I moved to Spanish Fork because of the community feel that we get to feel during our time at Fiesta Days or at the events that happen around town. We love that community atmosphere, and that's the reason why we came to Spanish Fork. From a young age, I've loved agriculture and what it brings. My grandfather ran a farm in Orem. My mom's maiden name is Merritt, so some people know that name. And during that time, I got the firsthand experience of what it means to actually work in agriculture and do it. It taught me a lot of valuable lessons. One of those valuable lessons is that I personally don't like tomatoes. I found myself in a cherry tomato bush and was about 6 years old, ate a lot of them, broke out in rashes, still can't eat them today. But I learned a lot of other valuable lessons from that time. One of those is that working together with a team and with people who have a common goal is paramount to what we want to do in our communities and as we grow. My wife and I, when we moved to Spanish Fork, we were lucky enough to be blessed with 3 kids at one time. I have triplets, and that is another way that we were able to instill hard work in ourselves. And yes, there were lots of sleepless nights and sleepless years, if you want to say that, but it taught us how to work together again as parents and how to make sure that we are working for a common goal. How does that relate to what we're doing? I run the Plasma Center, as was mentioned, and doing that, I get to interact with a lot of diverse people with different opinions, different backgrounds, different beliefs of how things should be done or how they perceive an issue to play out. And when I do that, I get to have conversations of both sides of the issue, or sometimes there's 3 or 4 sides to the issue, but to come to a conclusion that's going to be best for that company. In the chamber last year, we got to deal with a pandemic that none of us expected to happen. I don't think anybody was planning on that happening, but it really affected our business community here in Spanish Fork. And we had the opportunity to find ways to reach out to our businesses and get them information quickly, reliably, and so that they could survive some of those hard times. Some of those included working with the city and creating a PPE program, which Heather, our chair of the chamber, was able to, or our president of the chamber, was able to make sure our businesses had those resources and working with the city to make sure that those were funded and on time. And then on the Planning Commission, get to work with a lot of different ideas of how people want to see the city play out. As has been mentioned today, growth is happening. Growth is going to continue to happen. And we're going to have a lot of different opinions on how that growth needs to look, how that should shape our community as we grow. But most importantly is we have to have people in leadership positions that are going to listen to those concerns and then go forward and make the best decisions for those concerns and make sure that we have the infrastructure, the water, the roads, whatever it may be, so that we are successful as a community. As we grow, it's hard to keep that community feel that my family fell in love with, and I think everybody in this room loves about Spanish Fork. And we need leaders who are looking to make sure that we keep that community feel and that we're making sure that we move forward. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you so much, Jesse. Next, we've got Steve Carlson. He wasn't able to be here today, but he's feeling ill this morning and didn't want to pass any germs. So I'll go ahead and read his bio that he sent. He said, Stephen Carlson has deep roots in Spanish Fork. Serving the community is a cornerstone and something he takes very serious. He is currently serving as a volunteer firefighter. Okay, so after Steve, I have Mike CLAYSON. Mike CLAYSON is a lifelong resident of Spanish Fork. He resides here with his wife, Angie, and their 5 children. His background is in finance. He has managed the local branch of Pacific Horizon Credit Union for the last 20 years. In his spare time, you'll often find him at the ballpark, coaching his sons, or on a mountain hunting everything from turkeys to cougars. Hunting, and he says hunting mostly with his camera. So I'll turn the time over to Mike.
First, I'd like to thank all those that made this possible. It's pretty cool to think, there's not a lot of us here, but I know we'll all be getting text later from what we say when they watch it on Spanish Fork 17. It's always great to know. We appreciate that. No, I don't really. I'm Mike CLAYSON, my wife Angie Danzy. We've lived here our whole life, got married, we have 5 kids. She is by far the best campaign manager money can buy because she does really cheap, but she's really good at it. In fact, she told me, make sure you make notes, because sometimes when I talk, I get off topic. So she says, have notes in front of you. We're both born and raised in Spanish Fork and love this town. I work at the credit union on 3rd South, Pacific Horizon. Been there, between there and Springville, about 20 years, and obviously background in finance. And dealing with some issues sometimes. I'm also the repo guy. So it keeps it interesting. I've coached in Spanish Fork for 20-some years, a lot of kids, and it's actually it was pretty inspiring during the parade just how many kids that I had coached and would come out and say hi. There's a lot of them, and it's a great town to do that in. The Parks and Recs, how they have that set up is awesome. I think people ask, well, why are you running? And well, it's the money, obviously, right? This is a pretty good paying gig, right? Or maybe not so much. But I had a chance about 8-9 years ago to get involved in Fiesta Days. We got asked just to help with one event, and we did that for a couple years. And man, it gets you going, and it gets you excited about this town and just the volunteers. Then we had the opportunity to be the chairs for 3 years, and to get to watch the city employees who give up their holiday. Let's be honest, if you're from Spanish Fork, Fiesta Days is a pretty big time, and they don't get days off. Our police officers, all the city employees, our Channel 17 guys, they stay really busy, and they give their time, and I was really impressed, and I just said, I want to be a part of this. Well, since we're the chairs, we also, I oversee the Pyro Musical. My wife still does a lot of the social media and the baby contest, and just being involved it created that desire to be even more involved. And I'm going to flat out tell you, I do not know all the answers, not even close. In fact, some of my ideas are pretty bad. Ask my campaign manager. But I do believe that with the job I have, the personality I have, I get to know people, and I will definitely listen to what they want, and try and make the best decision. If you look at the city's always been on top. From the safest city to the stuff, their own TV channel, the pressurized irrigation, they're ahead of the curve. And to be a part of that and help with that would just be an honor, and to continue on with the great leaders we've had in the past. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Okay, next we have Shane Marshall. He says, I have lived in Spanish Fork for over 40 years. I married my high school sweetheart and we raised our 3 girls here. I graduated from BYU in civil engineering and spent 25 years at UDOT. For the last 5 years, he was responsible for the day-to-day operations of the Department of Transportation with a $2.1 billion annual budget and 1,600 employees. This experience, coupled with 4 years on the City Planning Commission, has given him the knowledge it takes to understand and have a plan to address the issues facing Spanish Fork. He was appointed to the City Council in May, and he's earned the trust and respect of the Council. He looks forward to serving the citizens of Spanish Fork. Shane.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you to the Rotary Club and Macy's for hosting us. My name is Shane Marshall. I am happy to be here today and talk about the issues and what I believe and what I think would be best for Spanish Fork moving forward. I want to get in my background just a little bit more, just so you understand me a little bit better, because I think my background is going to lend itself really well to the issues that Spanish Fork City is going to face over the next few years. Like Aaron said, I did work at the UDOT Department of Transportation for 25 years. I retired in 2008 and now work from the private sector. During that time, though, I got to go around the entire state and watch cities grow and watch how their decisions impacted the citizens of their communities. The decisions they made for whether it was transportation or whatever infrastructure they made impacts their lives, the citizens' lives. The decisions they made in land use impacts their citizens' lives and really impacts how they grow and their quality of life. I got to see that firsthand. I saw the good and the bad, and I think that background really will lend itself to a good spot on the city council. Hopefully I can take some of the good that they did and apply it here and really make sure we don't run into those bad things. So I think the city is at a crossroads. I've lived here for the past 40 years, and it hasn't been easy to plan in Spanish Fork, but it's been easier than it is going to be going forward. We've had a lot of open space, and we were able to really look at developments and planning at a very detailed level, almost at a neighborhood level, and that's worked really well. And you can see the way we've grown. We have a great quality of life. I'm never moving from Spanish Fork. I probably shouldn't say never. If my wife has her way, we'll never move from Spanish Fork. But when you're able to look at it at a very detailed level, it makes it pretty simple. But I think moving forward, we need to step up and and start looking at things from a more holistic view. We need to be able to make sure that we're not talking about a impact from a density perspective on that community or that neighborhood on a one-off. We need to understand when people move into a neighborhood, they know it's going to be around them. They can count on the plan that they're surrounded by, and they can make good decisions about where they want to live. So one of the main reasons that I want to be on the city council and I'm running for city council is that I want to make sure my kids have a place to stay. I grew up in Spanish Fork. I was able to ride my bike down 3rd South, down Canyon Road, along Main Street. Well, I want my kids to be able to live here and have their kids grow up here as well. So if we're not careful about the way we plan, there will be no room for them. They won't be able to afford here. And if we don't do it from a more global perspective, then I think we're going to be in trouble. And I think my background lends itself really well to helping that out. Let's see. So I think another issue that's facing the city is this idea that we want to stay rural, we want to stay this community feel, this small town feel, and I completely agree. That's why I live here. And I think some of the keys to that is our community's willingness to invest their time and money into our community. Oftentimes we talk about the government making a decision on a pool or a rec center or whatever it might be. I think it's about the citizens making a decision to invest their time and effort into their community, and that's what makes a community so strong. I look back on my history in Spanish Fork, and the people that came before me invested into their community and allowed me to have an experience that I want my kids to have. So I think it's my turn to invest my time and energy and money into the community to make it a place that they want to live. Before we came, back in 1972, someone made a decision to build ball fields in Spanish Fork, and I am a huge beneficiary of that. In fact, I don't think I'd be standing here today if someone didn't make that decision. I was able to play baseball. I went to college on a baseball scholarship. I don't think that I would have attended college without that. So I want to make sure that we do our job so that our kids and our grandkids can live here and benefit from the decisions we make. And that's why I'm running for city council.
Okay, great. Thank you, Shane. Next, we've got Whitney Hancock. She says she's Whitney Banks Hancock is wife to Brian Hancock, mother to 5 amazing kids, daughter of Jeffrey and Kay Banks, and a friend to all. She's lived in Spanish Fork her whole life, and she was volunteered with many local charities and organizations. Whitney.
Thank you, Erin. It's kind of fun here to be at the Rotary Club because I've kind of been going to Rotary Clubs since I was 16. I used to work at Oakcrest Inn and we'd set it up and we'd see all the meetings, so it's kind of fun to actually be a part of one now instead of serving you guys. So, when I was asked, why did you run for city council? And when I first put my name in, I didn't have a reason because I looked at it as a government position is a service. And so I really didn't have a platform, and I really kind of wanted to see more about what the citizens were concerned about because I wanted to hear their concerns because I had my own concerns and not many. We live in a great city, but I could see things that we could tweak or that we could fix. And so when I first started it out, I'm like, I have no idea. And then I started getting all of these emails. And I started seeing where people's concerns were. Traffic, high density population, the roads, the biking, just so many things. And everything just kept coming back to me as safety. People are concerned about theft. They're concerned about the safety in our city. And everything actually did come back to that. Because, yeah, it's kind of hard to look at it and go, oh, how is traffic safety, or how is high density population, or high density housing safety? Well, it comes with, you bring in different people who aren't used to the community. You bring in theft, you see a lot of different things. And so I've kind of put my platform up to, I want to make the city as safe as we can and work with all of the different things, because the traffic, when you start looking at it, the traffic we have issues are our state roads. So we really have to work really well with the state to see what we can do there. So my whole platform is I just want us to have a safe home for everyone and a safe community. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Whitney. All right, we've got Landon Tooke next. Landon Tooke moved to Spanish Fork in 1993, and thanks to the Rotary Club of Spanish Fork Scholarship, he was able to attend and graduated from college. Landon counsels and teaches at BYU and UVU and earned his MPA in 2013. He has served with the Fiesta Days Parade Committee, worked with the Miss Spanish Fork program, and is a member of the Spanish Fork Chamber of Commerce. Landon and his family of 5 are invested in this community and are here to stay. Spanish Fork is their forever home. Landon.
Well, thank you, Erin. It's good to be here with you guys today. Thank you to the Rotary Club for this event, this opportunity. Again, my name is Landon Tooke. It's fun to see some familiar faces out there and some new faces. I'd like to thank also the candidates for being here. It's a scary thing, this election campaigning political thing, and so I tip my hat to you guys. I like having the companionship in this process, and also want to thank the Rotary Club, of course, for hosting this event and Macy's today. So in 1996, as Erin mentioned, I received a scholarship from the Rotary Club here in Spanish Fork, and I remember the day that it happened. Tracy Franson gave me a call. It was toward the end of my senior year in high school, and I wasn't quite sure what I would do after high school, if I had what it took to, do well in college, etc. And so when he called and said, "Hey, the Rotary Club of Spanish Fork would like to offer you a scholarship," it changed my life. And I remember going a couple weeks later to a reception at the oh God, what was it at in Spanish? The Little Acorn. And a couple of recipients received our scholarships, and it was just a powerful moment for me. Well, I went on to serve a 2-year mission right after graduation to Argentina. When I came back, I started school at UVU, and that first semester was fully covered by that scholarship from this organization, and that gave me the confidence I needed to get into college and find out that I could actually do it, I could be successful, and that I could make a big impact on a larger scale. And it changed my life, and I graduated successfully, and things have gone pretty well since, and I attribute a lot of my success to that opportunity that the Spanish Fork Rotary gave to me. And so I thank you, and thank you for continuing to support our community and all the students who receive scholarships and who are benefactors as well. But Spanish Fork is growing. We see it all around us. It's becoming a very diverse city. As I've been going door to door, meeting the citizens, it's been wonderful. I've been making notes as I've learned about all of their concerns and their dreams and their hopes. And I'm hoping that I have the opportunity to share those and to make some of those happen and make some change based on what the citizens want. Spanish Fork is a village that raised me, and I'm running because I want to give back. I want to be an advocate for the citizens. I want to pay it forward. And that's how I see it. The 4 points of my campaign, my four platform ideas are strong vision, strong engagement, strong sustainable growth, and sufficient infrastructure. I feel like those are the 4 hot topics that we need right now as far as leadership goes in Spanish Fork and with our city council. So those are my 4 points. I believe, and we've all touched on this, but safety is a huge priority for me as we grow. Transit options, I think is also a big one. You know, keeping our roads clear and flowing, neighborhoods clean, you know, having mixed housing options for people who want to move to Spanish Fork and for our children. You know, making sure we have sustainable water for a long time. Keep that up. And, you know, honestly, we need a new pool. I'm excited for that. And eventually, you know, a rec center. I would love to see that personally. And of course, doing all of this, staying fiscally sound. That's obviously number one. Coming into this opportunity in City Council, I would have a fresh eye and insight to hear and fairly consider the needs of our community. I'm a bridge builder. At BYU, I work with students in bridging them out of BYU into the next phase of life, whether that's graduate school or careers. So I would do the same thing as a City Council member here in Spanish Fork, bridge communication between citizens and the City Council and city leaders. And I would also bridge relationships abroad, and I would serve that same role, but for the city as a bridge builder. And I'm excited to do that. I love doing that. That's what I do every day with the students at BYU. I have only the best of intentions with my campaign run, and I'm excited. It's been a wonderful opportunity. I love all the people I'm meeting, and I will always do what is best for Spanish Fork. Again, my name is LANDON TOOKE. I love this city passionately. I love public service, and I hope to earn your vote and support for one of the 2 open City Council positions this fall. So thank you for considering me.
All right, thank you, Landon. Okay, now we are on our last but not least candidate, John Tyrrell, right? Terrell. Okay, and he said that he is the most experienced candidate, and this is his bio, but I told him I wanted to leave him some time. So, so I got.
For being the oldest man in the room.
Yeah. So we talked about a little summary. So I'll do my best to summarize his experience. He says he's born and raised in Spanish Fork. He was on 8th North and 4th East. Graduated from Spanish Fork High in 1967. Served a Spanish-speaking mission in California and Arizona. He returned home and went to school in Provo, graduated in business management, married Janice Woofenden from Lehi, Utah. He was married for 47 years, has 3 daughters. Janice passed away in 2018 of a lingering illness. And then he owned 3 businesses and sold all those businesses, and then went to work for Smith's Food and then Kroger Food. And then, let's see, did I get?
Came back and went to work for Bill.
Then he came back, and now he's working at Macy's. So he's been through all the grocery stores, but as a great manager. And then he says, let's see, he listens and takes note of the issues and concerns of the people of this city and the effects that they have on their lives and their families.
You know, Bill made me work real late last night. So I couldn't sleep, so I got up at 5:30 this morning and decided, well, I'm gonna write some notes. And I got to think, what am I gonna write? I mean, because everybody's gonna have everything said by the time I get up here. So here goes. And I hope you'll bear with me. And I promise I won't go more than 30 minutes. The pride and progress we have been a part of in our great town over the decades and the history around us. I remember a man on his knees working through the rose bushes at the city park, pruning them and weeding the roses. This man was legally blind, but was very proud of this town and the people in it. He wanted the beauty to shine through and was very proud of the town. This man was Warren Terrell, my grandfather. He grew up in Spanish Fork. I remember another man that spent hours and hours building carnival rides and to put in the park for the young kids and ride on during the fiesta days. And he helped a neighbor Max Gordon, built a train that would take the kids through the neighborhood. And I believe the smiles on their faces were pale to the joy they had in their hearts for the kids in Spanish Fork. That was my father, Orrin Tyrrell, and he also loved the town of Spanish Fork and took pride in it. Spanish Fork was more than a town. It was a community. It grew from the early years of cowboys, pioneers, farmers, and ranchers. It was made strong with the blood, sweat, and tears. Our roots go deep, and we have grown to be a strong and vibrant city. Since moving back home in 2012, I've regained my love for this community. Last year I built a shop behind my house. During the winter, I built planters. This spring, with the help of my daughter, we planted those planters and the flowers grew strong. And these are dedicated to my family and my friends and my people in the community. The 6 benches that I have surrounding the planters and surrounding my yard are there so you can sit and rest and enjoy the flowers and the beauty around us. Why do I want to be on the city council? One big reason is to give back to those that have, now I've lost my page, to give back to those I have given so much to me. I explained my skills. I explained my skills in management and building, which I've been involved with for 40 years. But my family shows the love I have for those around me. I hope this brings some light and knowledge about me and the drive I have to push the progress in this great city. After all that has been said here today, each and every one of us wants our families and those that follow us to have love for the city that is left in our hands. I have some papers that you are welcome to take, and I'm just about done. The questions we have on the pink are the questions they gave us for the park to answer, and they only gave us like 8 or 9 of those questions. And so if you're interested, I got the questions on there. The other questions, I did not put my name on it because I think a lot of the responses are the same responses you'll get from each and every one of the council members. But you're welcome to take a look at those pages, get an idea of what we feel like, so you do get a little bit of knowledge on the city. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean, and thank you to all of the candidates who've come here today. We really appreciate your efforts to be here and to share your energy and your love for Spanish Fork. We love this town. It's wonderful. It's amazing to be here. I appreciate your willingness to throw your hat in the ring and to run for this position. And best of luck to all of you. Thank you.